Hey, Don Copeland here, and to show you another fun and profitable thing to do with your Mutoh UV printers, either the 661 or the 461 UF. It's printing on travertine. These are travertine tiles. This is actually a type of stone that you can get. You know, you can buy them in a lot of different places, but this is a great way to take something that's relatively simple, relatively inexpensive, not put a lot of ink on it, and it can be anything. It can be a coaster, so we generally use these as coasters. It can be a trivet, something you can sit hot items on, or it could just be something decorative. You could put cork on the back, little feet on the back of it as well. But let's show you how we did it. Let me show you here what we did to set these up to print out these travertine tiles, as I traditionally do. And as you saw, we printed out the outlines that are on the bed. These outlines, as you can see, are just under 4 inches a piece, 3.94, which is just about what the size of the tiles themselves were on average. So I went ahead and printed those out on the bed, put them on a layer here, layer 2. There we go. We've just printed our outlines here on the bed. Since we're just doing a quick run through on these, we have 6 different files that we're going to print. We just want to do a test run. As you can see, I did a hairline print out here on it. If you have one of the, we have both black and white versions of these. If you have the black one, you would just print the outline in white instead of black so that you can see it. All right. Let me grab my coasters. These are called travertine coasters. Travertine is a type of stone and very porous. It actually holds the ink quite well. Close enough to white that you don't really need to worry about it unless you're really trying to tightly match some colors. So we're going to print this without any white underbase. What I've done is that these are just under 4 inches squared. I drew my outlines to match up to basically the size of these. Then I printed my artwork at like 4.1 inches square, just to bleed over the edges a little bit, because a lot of these have a little bit of space, you see here in the side and stuff, where you can catch stuff that you wouldn't get if you just tried to print it exactly the right size. But they're far enough apart here that they're not going to print over or bleed over into each other. On layer 1, as you'll see, I've already brought in 5 of the actual artworks themselves, and I'm going to bring in the 6th one, show you what we did. I just imported it. We haven't done number 6 yet. Bring that in, brought it over here, imported it. As you can see, it's a little bigger, but it is squared. It's 17.71 squared. We need it to be basically 4.1 inches, so we get some bleed. So I'm going to just change that to 4.1. All right, and then what we'll do is we'll take that, grab this square, which is the one we printed on the bed, and we're going to center up the artwork to it. We don't want to print the outlines anymore, so we're going to turn those off. Grab these 4 here, 6 here, print those over to the rip. Shows you right here. Going to print this to compress rip. We're not going to use any white ink underneath as an underbase, but we will use a white highlight. Show you how to do that in a minute. So we're going to send this to the color layer only. So this is one pass through, no underbase. Send that over to the rip itself. We come to the rip here under the Mutoh 661 single layer, color layer print. And we're going to print these in a pretty quick mode. I'm going to select our fast mode, all right? And I'm actually going to set that up to print, instead of unidirectionally, we're going to print that bidirectionally, all right? So that's a big difference. We usually do these in unidirectional, we're going to do them in bidirectional. You see up here, when I go up in here, I'm going to do a couple things. First thing I want to do is I want to tell it that I want to use white ink. So set that right there. I do want to print bidirectional. Set that right there. I'm at the right resolution that I wanted. And now I want to come back and tell it I want to use a highlight white. And I want it to be a strong highlight white. So what that's going to do is going to grab those areas that are white color, and it's going to accentuate them, print them as a solid white as it's printing the color layer at the same time. All right, it's going to go in here, rip it, now process it, and then we'll take a quick preview look at it so we get an idea of exactly what it's going to look like when we print, and especially be able to see how much that highlight white is going to pop out and give us a really nice finished product, as you saw there at the end, beginning of the video, where you could see that the white lettering really popped off of the tile quite well. All right, we jump here, look at our pricing. All right, as you can see, this is all of our breakout of our pricing. About 4.5 cents worth of white ink. So that wouldn't be there if we were printing without white. And we're going to jump down and look at what we call our raw data. So it's going to show us all the information we're getting ready to print. but also it's going to allow us to turn off all these other colors. And you can see faintly on the screen here, I'll turn it to black. All these areas that are solid black, those are going to be printed as a solid white in our highlight. So there you have it. So let's go ahead, send this on over to the printer, and we'll get it going. There we go, it's printing the tiles now. I've got 6 of them stacked up, and as I mentioned when we were doing the software portion, about 25 cents, I think it was 25.11 cents total ink. So a little over 4 cents, maybe 4.5 cents worth of ink on each one of these tiles. And that's including the fact that I actually used a highlight white, as I showed you in the software demonstration as well, so that we don't need a white underbase, but the ColDesi logo does have a white lettering. We wanted that to pop a little bit more than the kind of the sand color. And then the same thing with the Achieving Dreams Together. We wanted that to be highlighted in white a bit as well. You'll notice I'm printing bi-directional here, as I showed you in the software. It's going to print really quick, still give us a great print. You know, we're printing on a fairly imperfect surface, so we don't need quite the fine detail we would need if we were printing on something that was really a smooth finish. It was going to be held to your nose distance and looked at. So we're going to get a really quick print out of these. It still is going to look great. All right, let's take a look at these bad boys, see what they look like. There we go. Wow. I'll tell you what, using that highlight white, let's use this one, this really accentuates it well. See, I actually printed the white, and to give you a perspective, grab a tile from over here. As you can see, the color of these tiles is not truly white. So these areas here would not have been white. They would have been this cream color. But by selecting what we call a highlight white, it actually printed the white at the same time as the color layer, but only in the areas that were purely white. It really made that pop. Now the print time on these was about 2 minutes and 37 seconds for 6 of them. Remember, I did these bi-directionally, and what we call our fast mode, but it's still a high quality mode. You know, you can't put too good of a quality on a bad substrate, you're never going to see it anyway. So these are an imperfect substrate, so we went ahead and printed these in a fast mode. I looked up the numbers on it to print this full bed in the same mode that I used here. Would have taken about a little over 7.5 minutes. And doing the math on it, we could have put 20 tiles on the bed and printed those 20 tiles in about 7.5 minutes. Easily turn the machine over 5 times, 100 of these an hour. Whatever you think you can charge to make a profit on them, pretty high. And these are heavy coverage. We did a full coverage on these. If you're just doing like a corporate logo or something in the middle, the cost would be much lower, even though these were only about 4.5 cents a piece to print. Just another cool way to make money using your Mutoh 661UF. Taking Travertine tiles, you can buy these in bulk from a lot of places. A lot of times you can find these even at places like the big box stores like Home Depot or Lowe's or something like that. And if you want, you can get little feet for the bottom of them, or cork or felt for the bottom for being coasters. Or people can use these just to drop in, as a decoration somewhere on like a trivet or something like that as well.